first classical piece I want to look at today is Khachaturian's Saber Dance. If you're looking for a classical work that you will know the second it begins, this is that piece. Taken from his 1942 ballet, this is largely based on Armenian folk music, and it's been covered so many times over the years and used so widely in popular culture that I doubt there's any pop orchestra on the planet that doesn't play this regularly. Whether it's SpongeBob SquarePants, Scooby-Doo, The Big Bang Theory, The Twilight Zone, the list goes on and on. This piece has been used more than almost any other over the past century in popular culture, and you can also hear competitive gymnasts and ice skaters using this regularly. The pace on this song is almost dizzying, and I've always loved the way that the horns slide in, presenting a great contrast to the rest of the piece. And then you get this huge sound off of the timpanis, and it's the natural reverb that you hear there that makes this song so big, imposing, and fun. Honestly, just go look this one up. The second it starts, I guarantee you're gonna know what it is, especially if you're a fan of Pee Wee Herman. The next piece I want to look at is George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. Now, there's no doubt you've heard this name before, and it was originally written back in 1924, and most people point to it as really the piece that established him as one of the best classical composers of the last century. He's so important because he was able to blend classical with jazz, a bit of blues, some ragtime. There are just so many elements at play on this piece. He wrote it in just over a month, and it was actually originally supposed to be called American Rhapsody, and it premiered at an afternoon concert on February 12th, 1924, and believe it or not, both Rachmaninoff and John Philip Sousa were in attendance at the performance. The work was an instant success beyond almost anything that had been previously done, as in just 3 years, recordings of it sold more than 1 million copies, which was just unheard of at that time. The piece has this upbeat, vibrant feel that runs throughout the entire work. And the piano and the way it works with the heavy string punctuations is pretty much the reason that you've heard this in so many cartoons over the decades. Most notably in Fantasia and other works from Disney, as well as being the music that sat under almost every United Airlines commercial since the 80s. The work runs just over 15 minutes of some of the most engaging and exciting classical performance you'll ever hear, and you can easily argue that this is the work that vaulted classical music into an entirely new musical space. Last up, let's look at Boccherini's String Quartet in E major. Though his name may not be as recognizable as others, his work remains vitally important to the progression of the classical music form. Written for 2 violins, a cello, and a viola, it's most recognized for the minuet in the third movement that's often referred to as the celebrated minuet. And it's one of the few that are played almost exclusively as a standalone piece nowadays, and it's one of the most recognizable pieces from the Baroque era. The big movement in question here completely diverges from the rest in terms of the key change, and the instruments all split from one another for the pace and the tone that they're going with, and it makes for this wonderfully unique sound you just didn't find anywhere else. You can find it being used all over the place in popular culture. You've got TV shows, you've got cartoons, Abbott and Costello used it, it was used in The Lady Killers. For all you big geeks out there, go watch This Is Spinal Tap. At the end of when he's playing the song Heavy Duty, he purposely plays this piece to make fun of the classical-based heavy metal bands. I mean, come on, it's in Spinal Tap. Why wouldn't you want to know this piece? There's no question that classical music remains the basis for almost every style of music that's come since, so make sure you take some time this week and get your classical on.